Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad HELMI bin AMIRHAMZAH and my matrix number is 2023645556. And today I will be explaining to you guys, or introducing to be more clear, about the vital roles of the United Nations in the global stage. Now, in what aspect are we talking about? We are talking about the aspect of sustainability development programs or goals. Now, the ever-changing and modernizing world keeps progressing at a rapid pace. However, it is important for it to be environmentally friendly so that our species on Earth will be continuing their lives without going extinct. Now, why is this important? We need to keep it in check because it is important for us to keep in mind that all of our development has consequences, and these consequences we want it to be good. If we don't care, if we just keep ignoring about the consequences, we will of course make everything go extinct, and we will destroy this planet, unfortunately, and we don't have anywhere to go, so we will all die. So it is important for us. Now, we should take a look at some of the roles before I will let my friends explain it further. Now, the first one is providing humanitarian aid. The UN does this regularly in places that are going into turmoil, in places that are going to war, such as Lebanon. They have been experiencing wars. They have been experiencing some very bad situations. Now, the UN gives humanitarian aid in terms of food, in terms of medicine, in terms of doctors. Now, this is good. And then we also have protecting human rights. How does the UN do this? They use their own platform, such as the UNGA or the UN General Assembly, to voice out concerns about humanitarian rights, about the rights of people, about the basic rights like water and stuff. And then we also have promoting peace, stability and security. The UN does this by sending peacekeeping forces in places that are supposedly going into turmoil or instability. Now, these are just some roles of the United Nations, but I will let my friends explain it further in the next slides. However, we need to also be aware that it is a must for us to acknowledge the roles of the United Nations that they play in the global stage to help in developing further while being environmentally friendly, because we need to remember without awareness, without people knowing what we are doing, without people knowing what to do, there is no point in doing something.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AIMAN. Now I will explain about the role 1 for providing humanitarian assistance in time of crisis. We go to the first role, is UN role in humanitarian assistance during a crisis. So the United Nations plays an important role in providing humanitarian assistance during crises such as armed conflicts, natural disaster and health emergency. This situation often happens suddenly and can overwhelm a country's ability to respond. So we will go to the one explanation is one of the UN keys role in humanitarian assistance in coordination. The responsibility is mainly carried out by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, or UNOCHA. UNOCHA coordinates government, non-governmental organizations and international partners to ensure the humanitarian aid is well organized and effective. Through coordination, resources can be distributed based on urgent needs. Duplication of aid can be avoided. So we go to, beside the coordination is the UN also provide direct humanitarian assistance through its specialized agencies. The World Food Programme delivering emergency food aid to people facing hunger due to war or natural disaster. The World Health Organization focus on healthcare service, disease prevention and medical support during emergencies. We go to last is humanitarian operators are guided by 4 core humanitarian principles. Is humanity, neutrality, impartiality and independence. These principles ensure that assistance is given solely based on need without discrimination of political influence. This is especially important in conflict situations where civilians depend on neutral organization, the UN, for protection and aid. The next slide to the modern approach and long-term impact of UN humanitarian aid. So we go to the first is, in recent years, the UN has adapted its humanitarian approach to address a modern challenge. One key development is the use of cash based assistance, instead of only providing goods, affected individuals receive cash or voucher so they can decide what they need most. This method promotes dignity, support local market and is more flexible, especially in urban areas. Finally, the UN also focus on long-term recovery and resilience. This includes rebuilding infrastructure, restoring livelihood, and strengthening communities to better handle future crises. In conclusion, the United Nations play a vital role in humanitarian assistance by providing coordinated emergency response while also supporting a long-term recovery and human security.
Right now, I'm going to tell you guys the second vital roles of the United Nations on the global stage. Based on the setting global human rights standards, since its founding, the United Nations has made the protections of human rights as a central part of its missions, believing that respect for human dignity and equality is essential for peace, justice, and sustainable development. The United Nations established the Universal Declarations of Human Rights (UDHR) in 1948, which for the first time outlined the basic rights and freedom of every human being. These rights were later strengthened and written into treaties, forming the International Bill of Human Rights, which provides a common standard for fairness, equality, and human dignity worldwide. Based on the monitoring and enforcement through institutions, to make these standards real, the United Nations created institutions and mechanisms to dedicate in promoting and protecting human rights. The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, led this work by supporting the United Nations in peacekeeping missions, working through country offices, and also coordinating with other United Nations agencies. The Human Rights Council (HRC), along with special procedure and treaty monitoring committees, there examines on how the country perform on human rights obligations, investigate abuses, and also recommend some improvements. This system helps to hold the governments accountable and ensure that human rights are respected on the ground. To link human rights to the development and stability, the United Nations combines legal protection by monitoring and on-the-ground support to help build the societies where rights are respected for all. These include civil and political rights like freedom of expression and non-discrimination, as well as economic, social, and cultural rights and access to the education, decent work, and also basic welfare. By protecting these rights, people are empowered to participate fully in social and economic life, which strengthens social stability, reduces inequality, and also fosters trust foundations that are critical for a long-term sustainable development. So overall, we can say that the United Nations has played a vital role in promoting and protecting human rights through its treaties, institutions, monitoring system, and also field support. These efforts help the nations to create fair, inclusive, and also stable societies where the rights of all people are respected, justice and equality are strengthened, and development benefits everyone. By doing so, the United Nations ensures that progress is shared, communities are safer, and no one is left behind.
The next role is maintaining peace, security, and stability. Do you know that the end of armed conflict does not necessarily mean that a society is truly at peace? Although violence may stop, people may continue to experience insecurity, weak governance, and social instability. This shows that peace is more than simply the absence of war. For this reason, the United Nations or UN addresses peace, security, and stability as interconnected elements rather than isolated objectives. Each element reinforces the others, and without one, long-term peace becomes difficult to sustain. The UN promotes peace by preventing conflict and supporting political solutions through mediation and diplomatic engagements. By encouraging dialogue between the conflict parties, the UN helped reduce tension and prevent violence from escalating. Example of the approach can be seen in Timor-Leste following the 1999 independent referendum. The country experienced widespread violence, displacement, and the collapse of public institutions. The UN intervened not only to stop the violence, but also to rebuild essential institutions, including the police, judiciary, and electoral system. This action helped restore order, strengthen security, and rebuild public trust, allowing Timor-Leste to move toward independence and long-term stability. In addition to peace building, the UN enhanced security through peacekeeping missions. These missions are essential in protecting civilians and maintaining order in conflict-affected areas. For example, is the UN peacekeeping mission in Lebanon. After repeated clashes along the Lebanon-Israel border, civilians' community face constant insecurity. So UN peacekeepers were deployed to monitor ceasefire, prevent further escalating, and protect civilians. Their presence allowed humanitarian assistance to reach affected population and enable communities to gradually return to normal life. As the security improved, school reopens, business resumed operation, and local authorities were able to function more effectively. Lastly, the UN contributes to long-term stability by supporting post-conflict recovery and institution building. Stability ensures that peace and security gain are sustainable. This can be seen in Sierra Leone after its civil war. The UN supported recovery effort by rebuilding the justice system, training the police, assisting former combat to reintegrate into society, and strengthening government institutions. This initiative reduced the risk of renewed conflict by restoring confidence in public institutions and promoting social cohesion. So we can say that the UN role in maintaining peace, security, and stability demonstrate that these elements are deeply interconnected. Through mediation, peacekeeping, and long-term institution building, the UN ensures that peace is not only achieved but also sustained through coordinated and continuous efforts.
Present about promoting the sustainable development and the 2030 agenda. The United Nations plays an important role in promoting sustainable development through the 2030 agenda. One of its main efforts is the promotion of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the SDGs. These goals are designed to address major global challenges such as poverty, education, climate change, and peace. The SDGs are integrated and applied to all countries, whether developed and developing. This shows that sustainability is not responsibility of one nation alone, but a shared responsibility that requires international cooperation. Setting global goals, the United Nations helps countries turn the SDG into real actions. The UN provides guidance, policy frameworks, and capacity building support to assist government in integrating the SDGs into national development plans, budgeting systems, and institutional structures. And through agencies like the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, UNDESA, the UN helps countries align their national priorities with the global goals. This approach ensures that sustainable development is treated as a core part of policy making rather than as a separate or temporary project. In addition, the UN provides practical support through its specialized agency, especially the United Nations Development Programme or UNDP. UNDP supports countries by strengthening governance system, improving data collection, and offering training and technical assistance. It also helps countries adapt their development strategies to meet global sustainability targets. For example, in Nigeria, the UNDP support the government in raising awareness of the SDGs and preparing voluntary national reviews. These efforts help countries track progress and adjust their policies so they remain aligned with the 2030 agenda. Furthermore, the United Nations plays a key role in monitoring progress and promoting accountability. It regularly reviews global and regional progress on the SDGs and encourage transparency. The UN also promotes strong partnerships among government, civil society, and the private sector in line with SDG 17 through initiatives such as the UN SDG Action Campaign. The UN raised public awareness using digital engagement, storytelling, and public events. This initiative encourages individuals and organizations to take part in sustainable development efforts. The United Nations helps ensure that sustainable development is inclusive, coordinated, and achievable through global leadership, policy support, and practical assistance and public engagement. The UN supports countries in working together toward a more sustainable and equitable future.
And now for my part, I will talk about the role number 5 of the United Nations, which is addressing climate change. So what does the United Nations do? First of all, they act as a global unity where they gather all the nations and also talk about the climate changes problem and also share the solution. And then it ensures the smaller country have a voice in every decision made and also promotes cooperation to tackle global climate problems collectively. And we moving on to international leadership where it guides countries through framework such as UNFCCC and also Paris Agreement. It also set common goal where all these countries need to reduce their emission and adapting to climate risk. It also monitor progress and encourage nations to improve climate strategies over time. And lastly, future protection, where they support sustainable solutions to reduce environmental harm. They also help countries to prepare for disasters like flood, heat wave, and rising sea levels. And lastly, promotes long-term planning to safeguard the planet and also for our future generations.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now, welcome back with me, Helmi. In conclusion, before I jump into my conclusion, I will be giving my own thoughts a bit. Now, as my friends have explained earlier on about the 5 vital roles that the United Nations play in the global stage on sustainability development goals, we must note that it is very important that they do this because take a look at it in this way. When we have an environmentally friendly world, when we have booming flora and fauna everywhere, of course, it is a sign that we are doing well. Now, if we don't care about the environment, take it as in we pollute the earth. When we pollute the earth, the soil will become corrupted, the water will become polluted, and when that happens, resources will be scarce and people will be forced to fight for it. Now, we do not want this because this will ultimately lead to wars and endless starvation and stuff. So, in conclusion, we can very clearly see that the United Nations play a vital role in the effort to modernize our world with minimal impact to the environment. Hence, we must recognize these roles that they play as it aids in the effort when people are more aware and have a sense of accountability towards their own actions. People will be more careful and be thoughtful about what they do. So thank you. That is everything from us. I hope you enjoyed our little presentation about the vital roles of the United Nations in the global stage.